So, have you ever wondered how a community that was literally chosen by God, blessed with divine guidance, could just fall apart? Today we're going to dive into the story of Bani Israel from Surah Al-Baqarah. And we're not treating it like some ancient history lesson. No, we're looking at it as a timeless, cautionary tale, one that's a powerful mirror for all of us today.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at what it really takes to accept guidance in the first place. Then, we'll talk about the actual mission a community is given. After that, we'll trace the slippery slope to corruption, see the mental gymnastics people use to justify it, and finally, we're going to turn that mirror on ourselves.
So, let's start at the very beginning, with the most fundamental question that really sets the stage for everything else.
I mean, what is it really? Is it about being super smart, or maybe just performing all the right rituals? Is it about belonging to the right group? Well, the Quran suggests it's something way, way deeper than that. It's an internal ability that some communities build up, and others, well, they just lose it completely.
And that ability is taqwa. Now, this is so much more than just praying or giving charity. At its absolute core, taqwa is this constant state of self-awareness. It's that little voice inside your head that's always asking, hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I accountable for this? You see, without that internal check, without that healthy fear of accountability, guidance has nowhere to land. It just can't take root.
Okay, so what happens when an entire community manages to cultivate that sense of taqwa? Well, they become ready for something much bigger. They become ready for a mission from God.
You see, both Bani Israel, the children of Israel, and later the Muslim Ummah were given this incredible favor. They were chosen for a job, and this job is a covenant, a mission to actually establish God's principles here on earth. It's not some special status symbol, it is a profound, heavy responsibility.
And right here, this is the critical fork in the road. You can see this divine favor in one of two ways. If you see it as a responsibility, it creates this incredible urgency to get the job done. But if you see it as an entitlement, it leads to this dangerous belief that you're just inherently better than everyone else. And that's exactly where things start to go so wrong.
This is such a fascinating idea. A true sense of mission can totally flip your perspective on life itself. Normally, we all desperately cling to our existence, right? But when you're connected to a purpose that's bigger than you, that fear can just vanish. The mission becomes more important than your own life. It flips everything on its head.
And get this isn't just a spiritual concept. Secular research actually backs this up. It's found that living without a collective purpose increases a person's chance of premature death by a staggering 60%. So a mission isn't some burden to carry, it's literally a life-sustaining force.
So, what happens when a community takes that wrong turn at the fork in the road? What happens when that sense of responsibility is replaced by entitlement? Well, it kicks off a predictable and really destructive downward spiral.
Here's pretty much how it goes down. First, the divine favor is given. But instead of seeing it as a job, the community starts to feel special, chosen, superior. This entitlement just kills any sense of urgency. It becomes, we'll get to it eventually. And that leads to hesitation, a fear of acting, this what-if paralysis. And from there, it's not long before the mission is compromised, and then abandoned.
This leads to a really powerful image. It's described how Bani Israel took their covenant, their active mission, and they literally locked it away in a chest, a sanduk. It went from being a living, breathing duty to a holy relic. Something to be admired from a distance, but never actually acted upon. It became a museum piece.
Now, a community can't just ditch its entire purpose without feeling some serious internal conflict. So to deal with the guilt of doing nothing, of hesitating, it has to invent justifications. It has to trick itself into believing it's okay. And this self-deception happens through some pretty clever tricks. You start by, hiding the inconvenient truths. Then maybe you overemphasize one tiny part of Scripture until it changes the whole meaning. Or you just pluck verses completely out of their original context and apply them to new situations, twisting the intent to fit what you want.
Let's use a powerful example, the prayer, Salah. For the very first Muslims, praying together in a group was a public pledge of allegiance. It was a roll call, showing you were with the Prophet and his mission. But through reinterpretation over time, for many, it's become a private ritual, focused entirely on personal individual reward, totally disconnected from any collective mission.
This quote just nails it. For that first generation, the mission, standing with the Prophet, came first. It came for over a decade before the 5 daily prayers were even required.
Their whole identity was built on that mission. For many of us today, the ritual comes first, detached from that original purpose. And that single difference explains so much about the strength of their commitment.
And all of this brings us to our final, and maybe most uncomfortable section. Because after looking at this whole pattern of decline, we have to ask a very, very hard question.
You see, the Quran lays out this detailed list of charges against Bani Israel for breaking their covenant. But what if that charge sheet wasn't just about them? What if it was a template, a warning for any community that would come later?
In fact, there's a prophetic tradition that explicitly warns that the Muslim community would eventually follow the exact same patterns as Bani Israel, making the very same mistakes. So the danger of repeating this history isn't just a possibility, it's a documented warning.
So we're left with this one final, challenging question for ourselves. When we look at our own communities today, honestly, what do we see? Do we see a people consumed with an urgent mission? Or have we locked our covenant away in a chest, spending all our time polishing the container while forgetting what's inside? Are we really upholding the mission, or are we just perfecting the rituals?